Where do I start? This has been one of the biggest challenges and one of the most difficult times for the past 2 years. Websites and apps that have been used and made available for a long time have been rediscovered, and many have been edited and changed to make them easier to use. Before this crisis, only a very small number of people had reason to use such websites, and they were usually between the ages of 11 to 25. The Office for National Statistics reported that the people aged 75 and over who were recent internet users nearly doubled from 2013 to 2020. However, can we really say online learning has taken a step forward just because more people have been using these websites? Looking at the statistics, yes, many websites, including Zoom, Teams, and many others that are linked to online education, have been used on a wider scale, and many have made changes to make them more accessible for more age groups. A research was conducted on this topic by the BBC and Backlinko, and they found that the percentage of Zoom meetings hosted in the past year increased as 3,300% from the same time previous year. This was after Zoom made major edits to its website to make it more accessible and easier to use. So this supports the idea that a simpler website means more people want to use it. However, all these apps you're talking about were there in the first place, and many of the edits made didn't take very much from their developers or technicians, but they have heightened accessibility for all. Being online all the time has meant that we have had the options to search online faster, giving us swifter answers within lesson time. Also, because of everything being in one place, it has reduced the stress of carrying all the files about. Because everyone was online, the new system had to accommodate all age groups. In my opinion, it was the older generations that had to be catered for. The World Economic Forum stated that the new things that we've learned during online learning are things that we can continue to use post-pandemic, and that this has affected everyone, people, students, adults, teachers, anyone who has been part of the education system of the past 2 years. Many of you adults sitting here must have been faced with a situation a little bit like this. A child may be supposed to be learning via call and not having the slightest idea where to start, and you also not having a very good idea on how to work these new ways of education. To assist a young child, you needed to be able to have something easy that all generations could use, as this was so important to sideline home education. However, many of the apps that I personally used during online education were there in the first place, but I had never, and I'm sure this applies to the vast majority of students, had the need to use them on such a regular basis. The world pandemic has given us this chance. The increased use of online services has also meant that more people have switched to going online. A research conducted by Maciej Dunsky, a careers expert, excuse my pronunciation, found that 5 million employees were now working from home. This was because of the increased use of online chat services and online functions like online order placement and, again, online education. We as students or day-to-day workers were never affected or were never used to being on the other side of the camera, as they say. And the global pandemic has given us this chance. However, can we say online learning has taken a step forward? Yes, we can assume all we want and speak from personal experience, but to make an informed decision, we have to go back to people who were and continue to be at the forefront of this battle. The teachers, the head teachers, the developers, and most importantly, the students and the parents of those students who work tirelessly to encourage a seamless transition from classroom to camera. These are the people we need to base our judgment on. And based on the evidence gathered, we can safely assume online learning has taken a massive step forward and will continue to, because there was never a time that online learning would have been accessible enough for use on this level. And so for it to accommodate the growing numbers using these once-hidden resources, we must have made a great advance in technological understanding. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, mashallah, interesting presentation, good, and lots of statistics there as well. So are you, I don't think you are very clear about whether you were in favor or opposed to, because it was generally about online education and the increase in the use of it. So what is your view on it in terms of the increase? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think it's benefited young people, or there's some more research, as you said, there's some more research to be done?
I think there's more research definitely to be done, but it has definitely taken a step forward. So in regard to the question, has online learning taken a step forward? I think it most definitely has, because 2 years ago, teachers and students wouldn't have had the knowledge to be able to be online 24/7 every day at school, to be online on Zoom, on Teams, whatever it is. But we would have never had that knowledge to be able to be online as much as we were.
Okay. So I'm going to ask a similar question I asked, which is, what do you think in terms of those who are not fully online education and would much rather prefer students and pupils attending classes at this university school? What do you think is the biggest argument for attending classes rather than online education, and how do you view that?
I think, in my opinion, attending classes will always be better because you've got that communication. But in regard to the question that was presented, has online education taken a step forward? I think that it has, although it hasn't beaten the standard that we have at the moment in person in schools.
So what is the biggest argument for classroom rooms?
I think the communication that you're able to have with the teacher, there's always that problem of Wi-Fi cutting, camera not working, microphone not working. I can remember that there was never a meeting online where there was every single student of our class. There was always someone who had some technical difficulty or couldn't log on. So having everyone there, the teacher had more control. You had everyone in one place, and that meant that you could have group discussions. Yes, online you can link more people around the world, but in smaller classes, I think it's always easier to have everyone in one place.
Thank you, Yasmin. That was a really good presentation. Take your time to answer. You made I just wanted to come back to something that you said about best way to face the judgment on whether online education has taken a step forward would be to look at those at the forefront of the back. Could you remind me what those people were? You said head teachers, I don't know.
Yeah. So I think it's like people who are most involved in the educational sector. So head teachers, the developers who worked on these websites, who made them accessible enough, because they had to work hand in hand with the educational sector to figure out what the best thing was. And always the students and parents, because really if they weren't able to learn quickly enough for them to be able to use these new methods of education, then it would have been a complete waste.
I'm really glad to the students point as well. I think they are the end user of the board, and they're not getting the successful education and effective education, and that's the ultimate metric and test. How would you perhaps test if you put online education is being effective? What methods would you employ and make the best judgment?
I think it's really hard from one place to another, but maybe basing it on exam results, exams that we do every year, comparing one year to another, to see has it affected grades, seeing how many people were able to participate, has that affected online education, has it been at the same standard, has it dropped, has it been better? Looking at asking teachers, asking students, how did they feel about it? How did they feel they were getting the best out of it as possible? Because personally for us in school, we are still using some of the online resources. We're back in school every day now, but apps like Microsoft Teams the teachers found really useful to set assignments. So these are things that we've been able to use even after we finished this period of online education.
What do you think the future looks like for education? And do you think it's massively changed since the last couple of years?
I think the last couple of years have opened new doors that we can work hand in hand. We can have in person and we can have online. I think the mix of the two is really, really important. I think, for example, science, it's really hard to do that online because you don't have a lab, you don't have the things you need. However, for some other subjects, having that online where you can Google, you can use online translations, you can use things like that, that really helps. So I think a mix of both online and in person would be the best way to go forward, because it would be a waste to waste all the skills that we've learned in the past 2 years.
And last question, but do you think online education opens the door for less valuable education? And when I say that, I mean things like students could be sitting at home pretending they're online in their classroom, not be there, but it could be just like perhaps checking answers for tests and things rather than online. What do you think about that?
I think that's always a problem, and that's why online education will never take over from face-to-face education. But I think if we work them together, that would be really, really useful. Like to set assignments online, so when you go home, you're able to have that. But I don't think it should ever take over completely, because you'll always have that small group of people who are using that as like a way to, you're online on a call with your camera off and you're doing something else.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah, I think we've all been good at that. But anyway, thank you for that. It was really interesting. Really good. Thank you.